Hey guys, I just had this "Pwah" moment that I wanted to share because I feel like it. Hopefully, it's interesting to someone. Okay, metaphors, magic, archetypes, psychological experimentation, go. I have in the very recent past become pretty obsessed with the concept of underworld gods as an archetype for emotional, personal transformation, working through your shit, being willing to face uncomfortable feelings, being willing to embrace struggle and trauma and challenges in order to learn and heal and grow and become stronger, right? So I got really obsessed with Pluto, the god Hades, god of the underworld. As a representation of that transformation, I became, very obsessed with snakes, shedding the skin, transformation, all that thing. And all of this kind of came about based on my own journey, my own obvious need at some point in my life to be willing to face uncomfortable things, lest I continue on a path of total destruction in my blindness, and my avoidance of hard things. It was keeping me from chasing my dreams. It was keeping me from loving myself. It was keeping me from being honest with people and with myself. It was very detrimental to my life, of wanting to avoid uncomfortable things, to avoid the darkness. Someone, good friend of mine, said to me one day, in each moment we have a choice, and we can choose the path of comfort, or we can choose the path of pain. And the way that they phrased that really made me embrace the concept of pain as a route to healing and to joy and to goodness and to knowledge. And I really embraced that for a few years. I called it the path of pain. I fucking used that as a hashtag on psychological things online. I considered that my path. My path at that time was to seek out pain and struggle and discomfort and challenge it, like a fucking emotional warrior, and to face that. And that was great. I mean, it helped, I think. I think that was a natural and expected and necessary part of my particular journey. But after a couple years of that, someone else kind of brought to my attention, I can't even remember who. Actually, I think it was a life coach that I had over this past summer. And I talked to her about the path of pain, and she said, God, no wonder you've been manifesting all of this pain, over the past few years, because you've been focused on it, hyper-focused on it, seeking it out, not just focused on it because you're worried about it, but focused on it because you're generating this vibration that you want it and you want more of it, And I was like, oh, fuck. That was not the goal, I mean, it really was the goal, but it was the goal because I wasn't really thinking about the end goal, and I didn't know about manifestation. I didn't understand that what you focus on persists and perpetuates. So today, lately I've been trying to focus more on the light side of the world, joy, positivity, success, victory, peace, contentment, balance, things like that. I've been trying to think more in those metaphors. But today I was, just for fun, thinking I would take on a magical name. I had previously, in my past incarnations of being witchy, taken on the name Breed, or Bridget, or Bridget, the Celtic goddess of, I guess you would call her the goddess of the hearth, the goddess of the forge, the goddess of fire, creativity, poetry, theater, I think also healing, and probably a couple other things, because there's always a lot, right? She was sort of my patron deity for a long time when I was a teenager. She's cool. That's all still very cool. I relate slightly less to that, just since I'm not doing the whole thespian theater thing, and that's really why I liked her. Also, the whole like gender dysphoria thing with me is a little bit confusing, whether I want to identify with a female god, a goddess, or a male god. That's double positive. And that's why I was so drawn to Pluto and Hades for a little while. Anyway, so I wanted a new name. I wanted a magical name. I wanted something that felt like a trigger to me, a trigger to the power that I want to bring about in my life, in my practice, in my journey. And I don't even know how I kind of landed upon it. I was trying to avoid the underworld gods for some reason, and I went straight there, and I sort of remembered Persephone in particular, who was taken in the myths, was taken to the underworld by Hades and sort of forced to be his queen there. But I actually can't, I'm like in the middle of my research, I can't remember her exact story, but she also represents the coming of spring. So living in the underworld, but able to return to the earth. And when she does, she brings spring with her. When she goes back to the underworld, she takes away. So there's a death and rebirth theme there. There's also a growth theme there. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, holy shit. That's really wonderful, because then, my metaphor for my life can continue to be about being willing to face the hard things, being willing to face the darkness, but also being able to take that experience and bring it to the world and help people heal, which is, like, that's all I've ever wanted to do, because of what I've been through. I want to help other people get through to the other side of what they've been dealing with. And she is also considered a psychopomp. I think that's what it's called. A character who helps people cross over. Not someone who judges the deceased or their souls, but someone who helps them, provide safe passage for them. And I love that idea of providing safe passage for someone who is willing to die in order to get to the afterlife, which is in theory better. I mean, what better experience than a healer? Or, wow, what better metaphor for a healer than that? What better metaphor for working through your shit and then getting to the other side? And it was in this, and also in researching all the other underworld goddesses, specifically Ereshkigal, the oldest, Lilith also. Who else did I have in there? I can't recall. Anyway, but goddesses like that, or demons or characters like that. It was in researching all of them that I realized that I'm still trying to avoid this metaphor for darkness, because I was like, I don't want to manifest more struggle in my life. I have plenty still, and it was then in that metaphor that I realized that darkness does not necessarily represent pain. It does not necessarily represent trauma and struggle and suffering. It represents knowledge. It represents truth and the mysteries of the world. When we face our fears, when we surrender to uncomfortable feelings and discomfort and things that are hard to go through, the reason we experience those as uncomfortable is just because of our perception of what's going on. It's just the way that we think about it. And the way that we think about things is not reality. It's how we experience reality. It's our experience, but it's not ultimate truth. And what we are doing when we embrace conflict and when we embrace struggle and when we embrace discomfort is being willing to look at the truth in order to understand it, to work with it, and to move on, to become stronger through it. Does that make sense? Pain is... I'm not trying to invalidate anyone's experiences, but I'm thinking very high level here, like biological, spiritual level. pain is very subjective, you know, and what one person experiences as painful, somebody else might not experience like that. So it's very individual. And what it is, objectively, at the core, is just information, you know? So I'm going to stick to this whole Underworld thing. It's made me so happy. I can continue to attach and love this metaphor of existing in the darkness in order to bring things into the light, without it being about suffering and pain. You know, I don't want to use those words anymore. They were fun, and I still get identity from this concept of pain and suffering and being a warrior and being at war. You know, I still, it's hard to let go of that identity because it makes me feel strong and smart. It makes me feel like a badass. And that's really all there is to it. You know, it's because I want to be perceived a certain way, and I want to perceive myself a certain way. But I realize that there is power in the search for knowledge and the surrender to darkness without it being about all the bad shit. So anyway, I don't really know how to wrap this up, but my nerd brain just got like so excited. So I think what I'm gonna do is come up with some kind of combination of the words Lilith and Ereshkigal and Persephone and probably Hades, because I would like to create some kind of hybrid male-female sort of persona or magical metaphorical name for myself. That's gonna be fun. I like that. Magic is like adult play, or I guess it could be any age play, but yes, I like it. So that's it. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.